The next speaker is going to be Dominic Villani. He is giving his icebreaker. The speech title is Ego. His evaluator is Romeo Bata. Romeo, please tell us what this speech.
Dominic, the purpose of your speech is this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. It's actually not And the purpose of this speech is for the member to present a speech and receive feedback from the evaluator.
Help in welcoming Dominic to the front.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Who do you think you are? Buddha, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Napoleon Hill, among others, have said you become what you think about. But can we control our thoughts? Is every thought we have intentional? Seriously, who do you think you are? I've asked myself this question many times, as I'm sure you all have, but I can't quite come to a definitive answer. Sometimes I try to answer this with the accomplishments that I've achieved, personality traits I believe that I have, or the passing descriptions, compliments, and criticisms of others. This doesn't ever seem to stick, and that frustrates me beyond belief. You see, things like those that I've just mentioned are fleeting. Maybe I performed a great speech at my last Toastmasters meeting. Does that mean that I'm a good speaker? Perhaps I'm particularly friendly to a stranger while waiting in line. Am I therefore a friendly person? If Mr. Johnny Derogatory says you're no good at making jokes and you should just keep quiet, should you? I think we've all been in a conundrum like this at least at some stage in our lives. And there's only one person responsible for our own suffering. You. That is for your own suffering. That is, you, the person you think you are, is responsible for your own suffering. Confusing? Allow me to explain. Have you ever heard of the ego? Of course you have. Music, television, books, psychology, that wild-eyed, poorly dressed man who claimed to be the second coming of Jesus that one time? Okay, maybe that last one doesn't happen to everyone. The point is, ego is a confusing concept to wrestle with. No one can quite say what it is or what purpose it serves. We can at least all agree that it's a part of our minds. With that said, I would like to propose a perspective that I find somewhat fruitful in its application. Ego identification. We all do this, and it's very bad, as explained by some people who are self-described as spiritual. It means that we identify ourselves, our being, our existence, with our thoughts about who we are, with the opinions of others, and with the things we've accomplished. Maybe we have a kind thought, so we must be kind. But what about those times our thoughts aren't so kind? All of a sudden, we're not as great as we thought we were. We're bad people, and we can't help it. Guess it's just who we are. Wrong. We aren't our minds. Pardon me, you might be thinking. What do you mean by that, Dom? What I mean is, you, as you sit there, are something different from your mind. or even your body. Now, I might say that you're greater than your mind and your body, but then our ego is going to show up with a fat grin on its face. No, not greater, just different. 1 month ago, I had a particularly fruitful week. Many people complimented me. And do you know what I felt? Dread. I was thinking, please, don't let me believe these kind words. You see, in the past, when people have offered me their admiration and praise, I've suddenly thought of myself as a truly marvelous example of a human being. Unfortunately, we can't relive the same moment over and over forever. Eventually, we mess up, and then we might have a small internal crisis on our hands. Interestingly, the ego was both the dread and the pride. It wants to protect us. It's not a bad thing. It just doesn't want us to get hurt, like an overprotective parent. It's difficult at times to live without preconceived ideas about who we are. Even negative preconceptions are easier to stomach than uncertainty. If I believe I'm going to fail, and then I do, at least I can predict my own downfall, right? It takes courage to face the world naked. I mean mentally naked, don't get any ideas. It's scary to go into the unknown. What will they think of me? Will I do it well? How can I do better than last time? Shh. Let's all just take a deep breath and look around the room. Everything is just okay, right here, right now. We're alive. We have shelter, food, clothes, and wonderful, supportive company all around us. It's okay. We're braver than we think, whether we walk alone or walk together. The ego may have its purpose, but it helps to remember when your mind is being unfruitful. You are not your mind. You are something different entirely. Let's take our power back. As some wise person once said, the mind can be a faithful servant, but a tyrannical master. Thank you for listening to me.
Speaking. The first evaluation will be myself. I'll be evaluating Dominic Villani's speech titled Ego. Dominic, I liked your opening. I think you started with a bang. You caught everybody's attention and you engaged the audience. And I think you asked introspective questions, which most of us, I'm sure most of us, do ask ourselves. And where people give you all this praise that, as you're saying, it's like a high, and if you have had it before, so what's next? And I found it interesting when you said in the last week when you did something and people gave you praise, and instead of feeling good, you actually felt dread, and I think that was thought-provoking. And also your use of words, you've got a way with words which I like, Johnny derogatory, and I also think that the flow of the speech was well thought out and well structured. One would think that you're doing a CC10. You're very comfortable, which is very good. And yeah, you opened up with a question you had the right poses, engaging us, making us think, and your opening, you tied it up with your ending. The mind is a faithful servant, but it can be a tyrannical master. I think that was perfect. Areas to improve. I had to, I mean, for a second speech, I think you did very well. You took out the lantern, and you were fixated, but I thought that you should have used more of a space, but one of the evaluators also said that no, that means that some speeches, just being fixated is good enough. It shows command of your content, which is an interesting point, I think could have used, you didn't use most of your notes, but I saw in the end you had to go back to refer to your notes. But and also you were speaking a bit too fast, even though there was a lot of content in it. Maybe could have trimmed it out a bit. But all in all, and your notes could have used cue cards at least next time. But all in all, I think we'll look forward to the third speech.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.